This is Cael. He's 16, and he's the first person in the history of our species who can never come to Earth. Not won't, can't. And here's the part that should bother you a little more than it does. He doesn't want to. We like to tell ourselves a nice story where humans colonize Mars. We plant a flag, we build some domes, we become a two-planet species, roll credits. That is not what's happening. What's actually happening is that we're taking a few hundred people, putting them in a box on another planet, and letting physics quietly redesign their kids. We're not colonizing Mars. We're manufacturing a new kind of human. And the slightly unhinged part is, we've already started. Okay, so the obvious objection. Evolution is slow. New kinds of humans take, hundreds of thousands of years? You don't get a new branch of the family tree in one generation. On Earth, that's true. Off Earth, the clock runs a little differently. So let's do the math on how you actually build a new kind of human and how fast. Speciation. One population splitting into two basically needs 4 ingredients. And Mars, completely by accident, serves up all 4 at once. Ingredient 1. A brand new set of rules. On Earth, the thing deciding which traits win has been roughly the same for millions of years. 1 gravity, 1 atmosphere, 1 sun you can actually stand under. On Mars, you change all of it overnight. 1/3 of the gravity, radiation, a sealed ecosystem you can never step outside of. Suddenly, the traits that get rewarded are completely different traits. Ingredient 2, more raw material. Mars sits under dozens of times more radiation than Earth's surface. Cosmic rays, solar particles, the stuff our magnetic field and atmosphere mostly eat for us. Habitats shield a lot of it, but not all of it. And radiation does one very specific thing to DNA. It raises the mutation rate. Now, most mutations are useless or actively bad. Radiation is mainly a great way to get cancer, not superpowers. But evolution doesn't need them all to be good. It just needs more of them. More mutations means more variants for those new rules to pick from. You're not just changing the test, you're handing evolution extra answers to grade. Ingredient 3, a tiny population. This one's underrated. In a small, isolated group, random chance starts to dominate. A trait can sweep through a few hundred people in a couple of generations for no reason other than who happen to have kids. It's called genetic drift, and it's basically evolution by small sample size. The first Mars colony isn't 8 billion people. It's a founder population small enough that flukes become permanent. And ingredient 4, the big one, isolation. For 2 groups to drift apart, they have to stop mixing. And Cael's generation is the most reproductively isolated human population that has ever existed. Not because of a wall or a law, because of distance. And because, as we'll get to, their bodies make the trip a one-way door. Stack these 4 together. New pressures, faster mutation, a tiny gene pool, and total isolation. And you have, on paper, a speciation machine. We didn't stumble onto the conditions that split a species. We engineered every single one of them and then shipped people into the middle of it. Am I telling you Cael is a different species? No. And I want to be really clear here, because this is where most people get it wrong. A true separate species, one that literally couldn't have kids with us, that still takes a long time. Cael could come down to Earth and start a family with someone from Ohio, no problem, genetically speaking. But speciation was never an event. It's a process. It's a slope. And what we've done is take a population, put it on that slope, and give it a hard shove. The clock didn't go off, the clock started. Here's the thing though. Genes are the slow lane. Before a single new gene ever gets selected, Mars is already rebuilding Cael's body inside 1 lifetime. No mutation required. The fast lane is your body just adapting while it grows to whatever's around it. You already know your body does this. People who grow up at high altitude develop bigger lungs and more red blood cells. That's not a mutation. That's the same human genome growing into a different environment, coming out shaped differently. Now take that and crank the environment to different planet. Cael grew from a single cell in 1/3 of Earth's gravity. We've never seen a human do that. What we do have is decades of data on what low gravity does to a grown adult, and we can run the arrow forward. Astronauts get taller in space, about 3%, because without gravity squashing them, the discs in their spine relax and the spine stretches out. For them, it's temporary. But Cael never had the squashing in the first place. His spine, his limbs, his proportions developed long, in a world that never pulled them back down. His bones are lighter. We lose bone in low gravity at a genuinely alarming rate, over 1% a month in orbit, because bone is lazy. It only builds what it's forced to carry. Cael's skeleton was never asked to carry a full Earth body, so it never built one. His heart is smaller and tuned to push blood up against 1/3 of a G. His blood pressure, his balance, the way fluid sits in his body, all calibrates for Mars. And his immune system grew up in a sealed habitat with a tiny controlled set of microbes. It has never met a dog, a forest, a crowded subway, or about 10,000 years of microbes you are casually immune to, and he is not. Which brings us back to the very first thing I said. Why can't he come to Earth? Put Cael on Earth and you'd be dropping a body built for 1/3 gravity into full gravity for the first time in its life. His heart would struggle to pump against it. His underbelt skeleton would be carrying nearly 3 times the load it was designed for. He'd be exhausted, dizzy, possibly injured just by standing. And that's before Earth's entire microbial buffet meets an immune system that has no idea what any of it is. Earth isn't home for Cael. Earth is a high-gravity biohazard planet that would put him in a medical bay on day one. If you're a science fiction person, this should sound familiar. This is the Belters from The Expanse, the people born in low gravity who are tall and slender and physically can't survive a trip down the well to Earth. Turns out that wasn't really fiction. That was just biology with a release date. And look, let me kill the obvious mental image before it runs away with you. If you're picturing a pale, 8-foot, black-eyed alien creature, pump the brakes. One generation does not give you that. What one generation actually gives you is more subtle and honestly a lot weirder because it's real. A person who is a little too tall, a little too thin, moves a little wrong, gets sick a little too easily, and can never, ever go to the planet the entire human story comes from. The dramatic version, that's the far end of the arrow, what you get when this runs for many generations. We'll show you that end. Just know the script is pointing at a direction, not a single birth. Now, we've talked about Cael's body like it's a fascinating data set. Let's not skip the part that's actually uncomfortable. Cael didn't sign up for any of this. In the last video, we talked about the first generation, the adults who volunteered for Mars, who signed a one-way contract knowing they'd never come home. You can think whatever you want about that choice, but it was theirs. They consented. Cael's parents consented for him. Somebody, 2 people, looked at all of this, the bones, the heart, the radiation, the fact that this kid would never meet his grandparents in the same room, never feel rain, never go outside without a suit, and would spend his entire life as the single most studied human being alive, and decided to have him anyway. On Mars, first. So the question this video is really circling is not what is Cael, it's what kind of person makes that call. Because the people who self-select to become the first parents off-world are not a random sample of humanity. They're the ones for whom your child will be a permanent biological experiment who can never come home. Reads as acceptable, even exciting. That's a very specific, very rare kind of person. The kind who wants to be first badly enough to spend someone else's entire life doing it. And they're the ones writing the first chapter of whatever we become next. I have no comment. I just think you should sit with it for a second. The body, though, the body is the easy part. It's measurable. You can put it on a chart. The genuinely strange part, the part nobody quite measures, is what a place like Mars does to a mind that is never known anywhere else. Here's a question that sounds simple but isn't. Is Cael homesick? He can't be. You can't be homesick for a place you've never been. To Cael, Earth isn't home. Earth is a bright dot in the sky, a place his parents get weirdly emotional about, and a planet that sends him a relentless amount of mail because, again, he's famous for being born. And it's worth stopping on that word, famous. A normal kid figures out who they are partly from how the people around them look at them. Cael got looked at by billions, not as a kid, but as a milestone, a data point, proof that a thing worked. There are researchers who know more about his bone density than he does. There are strangers on Earth who have never met him and feel like they own a piece of him. We have a lot of charts for what Mars did to his body. We have nothing for what it does to a person to grow up knowing you're the experiment, not the kid. If I had to guess, and it's only a guess, the closest thing we've got on Earth is child stars and young royals. People who were a symbol before they got to be a person. They tend to come out watchful, good at performing a version of themselves, and a little unsure which version is actually theirs. Now make the audience an entire planet, and make him the only one of his kind, and you're somewhere we don't have a word for yet. That's the part there's no instrument for, and it's the part I'd actually want to ask him about. Think about all the little stuff that shapes who a person turns out to be, and then take most of it away. No weather, the temperature inside is whatever the colony sets it to, forever. No real horizon, just a low rust-colored line, and a sky that's pink in the daytime and goes blue at sunset. Backwards from ours, by the way. Small thing, messes with you. A constant background hum of life support that he's never once heard stop, and really hopes he never does. Air that has been in other people's lungs, and a sky where the brightest star is the planet everyone keeps telling him is where he's from. That's not a tweak to a normal childhood. That's a different operating system. And the social world is just as warped. Cael didn't grow up in a city of millions, or a town, or even a village. He grew up in a population you could fit in a large restaurant, where every adult is a specialist. Everyone knows everyone, privacy basically doesn't exist, and the stakes of any one person screwing up are everyone's survival. He was functionally raised by a research station. He's calm, he's careful, he's quiet, he's deeply comfortable being alone because he was built by an environment that rewards exactly those traits and punishes the opposite. Now stop looking at just Cael and look at all of them, because Cael isn't a one-off. There's a whole firstborn generation coming up behind him. Picture it, a generation of kids who are all a little too tall, who move through low gravity with an ease that looks slightly inhuman to us and completely normal to them, who have a relationship with risk and death that's matter of fact, because the wall between them and instant vacuum has always been 6 inches thick, who don't dream about Earth, they dream about going further out, who think our obsession with the sky, with weather, with spaces is a sweet, slightly embarrassing thing their ancestors were into. To them, this is just home. Mars is normal. The hum is comforting, and the blue dot is a museum they've never visited. And here's the flip that I cannot stop thinking about. From Cael's point of view, the strange humans aren't the Martians. It's us. We're the ones who evolved to need a specific planet. We get nervous in the dark. We can't sleep if the gravity's wrong. We want a certain amount of sky overhead. None of that is human nature. It's settings one planet baked into us over millions of years. To a kid born off-world, that's not the default setting of humanity. That's just the local adaptation of the people who happen to stay home. Humanity didn't split into two kinds of people in some far-off science fiction future. It splits in a nursery, this generation, while the rest of us were arguing about launch schedules and rocket budgets. So, we're about to create a new kind of human. The honest version of that sentence is that about to is doing a lot of work, because every condition that builds Cael is already in place. The pressures are here, the isolation is here, the one-way biology is here. Give it a generation and you get the kid, a little too tall, looking up at our blue dot with mild curiosity and zero longing. And we didn't decide to do this in some big dramatic all of humanity vote. We did it the way humans do almost everything enormous. A little at a time, mostly without stopping to ask whether we should. And the reason wasn't some ground plan to upgrade the species. It was money. A colony that has to ship every human being from Earth is never self-sustaining. It's the most expensive houseplant in history. The only way Mars ever pays for itself is if people are born there and stay. So the first kid born on Mars was never really a milestone. Somewhere in somebody's budget, he was a line item. We wanted Mars. A new kind of human was just the fine print. The wild thing is Mars is the gentle option. It's the friendliest place off Earth we could possibly start with. The worlds that come after it are so much weirder, and so are the people they'll make. If you got something out of this, subscribe. This whole channel is basically one long answer to the question of what happens to people out there. And we're only getting started.